I'm standing about a third of the way from the smart meter to the eucalyptus tree that for almost a decade had a large hive of European honeybees in it, and I'm holding here a electrosmog meter that measures frequencies, and what it's showing me is that there's 110 milliwatts per square meter every 3 to 5 minutes, when PG&E told me that it would be once a day for 30 to 40 seconds.
And now there's no more bees.
And now there's no more bees.
Go.
Hi, I'm standing about 1 meter away from the smart meter that was installed last year, and I'm holding a scientific measuring device to measure the frequency, and what we're finding is that it's 200 milliwatts per square meter, which is not safe, and that may be the explanation why the bats in my yard are no longer flying in their normal patterns, and they've been reduced by more than 50%.
And the bees.
And the bees over in that part of my yard have disappeared, a hive that was there for about a decade. The smart meter was installed, and I know now, today, what kind of frequencies are being emitted from it. I'm very concerned about my safety as well as the safety of the environment. And I don't feel comfortable being here.
And it's 200 milliwatts.
It's 200 milliwatts per square meter is the exposure right now. What's it doing to my brain?
How do you feel?
How do you feel?
I feel scared.
I feel scared. At 1 meter, previously, before we put this foil pan over the smart meter, we were at 200 milliwatts per square meter, and now it's pretty much almost nothing. We covered up the meter with a turkey foil pan, and apparently it stopped the meter, the smart meter, from working for a while, or transmitting, and since we removed it, it's back up to 43, so it's transmitting again.
It's getting a little bit higher too. 582. 600. 603. 654. That's interesting. 700. This is wild. 860. 900. 850. 935. 800. 932. 945. 1060. 1057. 1092. 1084. 1065. 1049. 1028. 940. 950. 750. It's coming down now. Now 1007. 1041. Wait. Okay, I'm going to stop it now.
I'm
Put
going
this out.
to
Put this over.
just show where this is the smart meter,
Okay.
and this is the antenna up there.
That we need to find a way to have a 21st century plan of which whatever metering technology is chosen is so attractive and so proven safe that people will opt into that rather than having to opt out. So the Green Party is calling on BC Hydro to halt the installation of wireless smart meters, to put in plan a long-term energy plan that is one that is discussed in consultation with the people of British Columbia, and where people have an ability to say no to something that they think is in a detriment to themselves and their families. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Jane Stokes there speaking. Second up, we have Dr. Margaret Buss, Associate Professor from Trent University.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be making 5 key points about related to the health effects of radio frequency radiation. The first point is that smart meters generate 2 types of radiation. One is microwave radiation that comes through the air, and the other is dirty electricity that comes through wires. Both of these have been shown to have adverse health effects. The type of radiation coming through the air is pulsed, which means there's a very high peak and then it drops down low. And most of the science that I've been able to access shows that pulsed radiation is much more harmful than continuous wave radiation. The smart meters in British Columbia are going to be meshed, which means they're talking to each other. And if you happen to be the collector side, if you happen to have a smart meter that's a collector side on your home, you're going to be sending not only your information, but information from other smart meters, which will increase your exposure and the frequency of the pulses that you're going to be exposed to. The smart meters are operating 24/7, and you can't get away from them. This is new technology, and there have been no studies looking at the long-term health effects of smart meters that are on your home. And so we have to rely on other types of research that deals with cell phones or cell phone antennas or Wi-Fi, wireless baby monitors to tell us what is likely to happen with smart meter devices on your home. Point number 2, the World Health Organization in May of this year came out with a statement that radio frequency radiation from cell phones, from smart meters, from Wi-Fi is a possible human carcinogen. That just came out very recently. And so you're going to have a device on your home that generates a possible human carcinogenic substance. Every home is going to have smart meters, and I think this is where you have to have a choice as to whether or not you're exposed to this wireless radiation. Point number 3. In addition to cancer, there are a lot of other health effects that have been associated with wireless technology. The meters affect reproduction. It's been shown that sperm are affected by this radiation, which could have long-term effects on reproduction. We have no idea how the human egg cell is affected, but if it is affected, then we're talking about the potential for generations of a response. We have evidence that it affects the heart. Individuals who are electrically sensitive have heart palpitations when they're exposed to this radiation, and this can be quite serious if you also have underlying heart disease. We have evidence that there's a growing number of individuals who are experiencing electrical hypersensitivity. Their symptoms are variable. They include poor sleep, difficulty thinking, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, mood disorders, dizziness, nausea, tinnitus. So a lot of different symptoms fall into this particular category. And instead of calling it electrical hypersensitivity, I call it rapid aging syndrome, because the symptoms that you experience are those that we experience as we age. The major difference between real aging and electrical hypersensitivity is when you're not exposed to the radiation, your symptoms diminish or they disappear entirely. We think that electrical hypersensitivity is affecting at least 3% of the Canadian population, which is close to 1 million individuals. The analogy that I'd like to present to you about how relatively harmful smart meters are compared to other technologies is the analogy related to cigarette smoking. Smoking a cigarette is like using your cell phone. You're exposed to the radiation firsthand, and that's likely to be much more damaging than secondhand smoke. But having a smart meter in your home is like being exposed to secondhand smoke because it is a possible human carcinogen. Point number 4, what does the future hold in store for us? Initially, it starts with monitoring electricity. In Ontario, they're beginning to monitor water, and eventually they will begin to monitor gas. And so you're going to have levels of radiation increasing in your home every single time a new wireless monitoring system is devised. In addition to that, we're going to have what's called smart appliances, which means you're going to replace the fridge, the refrigerator, the air conditioning unit you have in your home, so that it can also communicate with the smart meter devices. And that's going to increase your level of radiation again. So the secondhand smoke level analogy means that our levels of radiation are constantly going to go up and up and up. And the final point I would like to make is that there is an alternative to wireless smart meters, and that is to put the radiation on the wire. You can use electrical wires, you can use your phone line, you can use cable, or you can have a dedicated wired system in your home. And I think it's extremely important to give people a choice, particularly if they're electrically sensitive, particularly if you have young people in your home because they're much more sensitive to this radiation. If you have an impaired immune system or you're elderly, you're already dealing with cancer and other health problems, then I think it's absolutely mandatory that you be exposed to as little radiation as possible. And you can only do that if we oppose the wireless smart meters and go to something that's wired and doesn't cause the problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Havas. I'd like to next give a warm welcome to Elizabeth May of the Federal Green Party.
Thank you. I'll try to keep my remarks very brief so that we have time for questions for all of you, and thank you for coming. And also, I'll add a bit in French for mes amis en français. As the federal leader of the Green Party of Canada and member of Parliament for Saanich Gulf Islands, BC Hydro's plans are not in my jurisdiction. I am, though, a BC Hydro customer. I'm a British Columbia resident. And I'm very grateful to Jane Stark, leader of the Green Party of British Columbia, for the political courage to say that this is an issue. And those people who may be fighting a fairly lonely battle to tell BC Hydro that they're orange, and the people in my community were being silly in thinking that we should oppose it. It takes a while sometimes for the evidence to pile up. But the epidemiological work around cell phone use has been around for some time. Leading epidemiologists from Sweden, particularly Dr. Hardell and Dr. Eriksson, said many years ago that they were seeing a link between cell phone use and brain cancer. It was subsequent to that that I read in The Lancet that the British Medical Journal was saying, look, the evidence is not yet so clear that we should say that cell phones should be banned. But as a matter of precaution, we do say, and this was an editorial in The Lancet more than a decade ago, that children and adolescents should not be using cell phones. So for those who say that there is no health evidence whatsoever about electromagnetic frequency, they're simply indulging in either wishful thinking or willful blindness. There is evidence. It falls short of the level of being so conclusive that you would take immediate action to ban this technology. But sensible use and precaution is required, particularly for those who are sensitive, particularly for children, and particularly in an instance like this, where BC Hydro has a monopoly and is giving its customers no choice.